first of all, you may or may not notice something very different about me. So people have repeatedly asked me in YouTube comments and on other social media if I would ever talk about how I was as a student in public mainstream schools as someone who was deaf for a portion of it. That is a video that I will make a much longer version of later on down the road, but I did want to make a quick video, one, because of time. Two, this is something that was very important to me, I guess, for lack of a better word. I will say that there were times that people would kind of crack jokes about the fact that I was deaf, like if they came up behind me and then said, "Gosh, what are you, deaf or something?" when, you know, I couldn't hear them, obviously. But this moment was something that was much more than that, and something that I really would not have expected to happen from this particular person. So this is gonna be a story time sort of video. So this happened when I was in 11th grade. I think in a video that I made about this story, I might have accidentally said 8th grade. Hopefully I did not. So it was in 11th grade. I was in high school. I was 16 years old. And in U.S. history class, my teacher made fun of me in front of the entire class for something that was out of my control. And yes, it has to do with my hearing loss. So I know that in schools in the United States and in Canada, I don't know about any other countries, occasionally we would have to watch films, which can always be fine and great, whatever. But sometimes, usually half of the time, we had to write facts about whatever we were watching. So we would watch the film, listen to the film, and then we would have to copy down whatever we heard on a piece of paper, whether it be 15 facts, 30 facts, whatever. The number always varied. Now, I was a deaf student. I would still be a deaf student, and this was hard. Why? Because there were no captions at all. None of these videos, not even films that we watched for fun, had captions on them. And my teacher was aware of the fact that I was hard of hearing at that time. My hearing was better back then, but I was still deaf enough that I couldn't understand a lot that was going on. I went up to my teacher and I was said, "Hey, you know, I need closed captioning on videos. It doesn't have closed captioning. What am I supposed to do because I can't understand the film?" The solution was to sit in front of the computer, and I just agreed. I was 16 years old. This was a time that I was not very comfortable with who I was, deafness and all, so I just kind of pushed things aside and said, "Fine, okay." So I did that. And all I did was make the sound a lot louder, which then made it a lot more muffled. I read stories all the time from other deaf people whose parents or friends or whoever always say, "Well, why don't we just turn it up? You don't need captions. I don't like captions." All it does is make the sound louder, and it doesn't really make it more comprehensible, usually. I sat in front of the computer speaker. I tried my best to get facts, and I'm pretty sure I had less than half of the sentences that we needed to write, but not only that, a lot of them were very incomplete. Like, it would be half of a sentence, or each sentence would have every few words that I could make out, and it was horrible. I didn't like it. I was very embarrassed about it, and maybe I could have copied off somebody else's paper, but we weren't allowed to do that, so we had to turn our papers in, and as we are waiting in line to get out, because we had about 3 minutes left, so we were just waiting for the bell, my teacher was looking through the papers, and he began, reading the papers to himself, and he saw my paper, he saw how incomplete it was, and then he decided to pick on me out loud in front of the entire class. He didn't pull me aside and, talk about it, which I still would have said the same thing. "Well, I can't understand these movies without captions." But he saw the paper, he laughed out loud, he chuckled out loud, and then he read the sentences out loud and laughed to the entire class about it, and then the students, of course, joined in. It's a true story. I'm not making it up. And yet I didn't say anything about it. I kind of just went along with it. That was something that happened a lot when I was younger. I wasn't very comfortable about myself with who I was. I couldn't really accept the fact that I was hard of hearing, I was deaf, whatever. It was a mess, honestly, it was a mess. And if I could have gone back, if it was me now and I had a time machine or something, I would go back and I would be calling the guy out for that, because that wasn't very nice. It's just not nice to pick on somebody, especially as a teacher. Like, it's not nice when a student does it, but it's even worse when a teacher does that. Like, really? I really wish I would have said something, but like I said, it wasn't comfortable with myself enough and I couldn't stand up for myself at that time. Unfortunately, this isn't the only time that something similar has occurred, not really making fun of me, but just, treating the fact that I was some sort of deaf like it was nothing. But that'll be covered in another video that talks more about being in a mainstream school. Just to throw it out there for any future teachers out there that may have a deaf or hard of hearing student, because occasionally that happens in public schools. One, try to find captions on the film. I mean, it's 2016 now, like, come on. Or, I don't know, maybe try to find a similar assignment that they can do, because it's difficult and I feel like it's just not fair that if we want to try to do some work, but if it's something that we physically can't do, then we get penalized for it. And last but not least, don't make fun of the kid. Like, that's just not nice at all. Why would you do that? There's my first little story time video. Feel free to check me out on all of my social media. That's down below. Check me out on Patreon if you want to support content. Link also down below. I make videos every Monday and Thursday unless otherwise stated because of some sort of emergency. And I will see you later. Bye.